Deep within the misty swamps and bogs of Skyrim, we can spy glimmering lights that shine through the soft fog. Here, a group of people have braved these dangerous lands and forged a life within the muck, fending off creatures, corruptions, and other dark figures of the night. They battle the wild to hold their community together. But with the onset of war and other unsavoury happenings deep in the marsh, this town has its work cut out for it. Welcome to Oddities, a show where we take a look at locations in games to find details, moments, and minutiae we just think are interesting. So grab yourself a tea or a coffee and sit back as we explore together. Today we're here in Morthal, a small village that sits just below Solitude in these damp, dangerous marshlands of Hjalmarch. It's a pretty sullen place, a gloom hanging over the populace. The ground is hard and icy, bog frozen underfoot to create what will be an unpleasant stroll. The town itself is built into this little lagoon in the marsh, with lots of lanes forking away to take their fishing boats out and about. It seems fishing goods is one of their main exports, alongside their lumber mill and the apothecary. Coming in from the southern pass, our eyes are drawn down the town's main road. The Jarl's longhouse towering over here to the east, the local apothecary further onward, ending with the inn, which is what I'm sure most travellers are after. Peering down this wooden walkway that sits on the shore, we can see the rest of the town, wrapping around the river to the west here. The first building along said walkway is the guards' barracks and the town's jail. They have a training area set up in this section here to help warm the guards up before their patrols around the chilly town. There's some ale on these barrels here. You can imagine some loitering around, having a sip while offering tips and tricks that may or may not be welcome. Inside is filled to the brim with beds, a fire roaring to thaw their bones after walking the streets. More ale on this table, alongside some coin and a knife. Perhaps some five-finger fillet was being played to pass the time. The walls are adorned with trophies of all kinds of animals. It's clear these guards are proud of what they do, if not a bit bullish. It feels like they might seek fights, rather than look for ways to mitigate them. Down in the jail cell, a lone guard sits watching nothing in particular. Unless there's so much crime, they need someone always on rotation down here. I'm not sure exactly what they're doing. Interestingly, the guards have a bed down here, presumably for whoever is on watch. It looks like their rotations for cell duty are longer than other towns we've visited. They've put yet another trophy inside the cell itself, a skeever. It's clear what these guards compare their prisoners to, and certainly advertise what could become of an escapee. Next door is Alva's house. She seems nice, comforting a widower after the death of his family. She has the best of intentions, I'm sure. With the themes of seduction present in her quest, it makes sense that your eyes are drawn to the wider portion of the room, in which sits the bed, topped with a wreath of blood-red snowberries. Something so sweet, growing in the hard lands of Skyrim, and it gives fire resistance, something I'm sure Alva could make use of. Unlike most smaller homes, Alva has a cellar. She doesn't keep much in here though. Barrels of foodstuff and other homely supplies, a coffin of course, and a trophy of a wolf. The floor is slick with blood here. I guess someone gave Alva a hand. Falion, the wizard, lives next to Alva, closer to the jetty here. He's a mysterious character, and the town doesn't seem to trust him that much, fearing he will bring darkness with his magical abilities and strange behaviours. And inside is much of what you'd expect. An enchanting table, soul gems, potions, books and tomes. He lives with his adoptive daughter Agni. I did call Angie, the archer in Falkreath, Agni, but this girl is actually Agni. I do apologise to the Angie fans. It looks like Agni was reading a tome on restoration. You'd think Falion would start her on a valid school of magic, but I suppose not. She also has mead on her bedside. I don't know what the legal drinking age is in Skyrim, but it feels a little irresponsible of Falion. He has human skulls on his shelf as well. Whatever image Falion has, he's not too concerned with trying to improve it. Out here on the jetty, we get a nice view of the town. Upturned dinghies waiting for their captains, foot traffic over the bridge, icy crystals forming patterns in the water. It's a nice spot, though peering out into the foggy marsh does give you a bit of a chill, as if something could be hiding between the reeds, watching the town with hungry eyes. The longhouse is much the same as Falkreath's, something of a standardised design for these smaller villages. They do keep chickens though, in this little coop nestled away from the road. The entryway is flanked by more snowberries. Jarl Idgrod sits here, the seat of power in this region. She's surrounded by more trophies of crabs, hawkers and slaughterfish, the nautical resources of the town on display for all to see. But they are all things that crawl in the mud and muck. The seeping waters of Hjalmarch not a place for cleansing, but further danger. And the Jarl is showing somewhat of an attempt to tame that danger. It feels, however, that this is a cry of victory during a battle that still rages.
Yes, okay. Well,
For we already know there's more than fish threatening the town. The hall is packed with the Jarl's family running about the place. Her children, steward, soldiers, all scurrying around with something to do. Sitting so close to the capital would be a dangerous spot, with the Stormcloaks likely keen to take a staging point for an assault on Solitude. For all our alchemical needs, we can visit the Thaumaturgist's hut, this two-storey building that sits across from the longhouse. Lami tends the counter here, peddling all kinds of goods. Mushrooms, powders, bits and bobs pulled off creatures, and, of course, potions. Lami mentions that she spends a lot of time experimenting, and indeed we can see her alchemy lab, already set up with several ingredients waiting to be mixed. I hope her vials are heat resistant, because I could imagine putting them over the fireplace here could cause them to get quite hot, potentially ruining the potion inside. Then again, chemistry could be very different in this universe. Upstairs, she has dinner set up for herself, and tucked in the corner, more books and tomes about Daedra, Forsworn, and Wisps. It seems Lami might have an interest in the occult. A curious sort. Hopefully the town doesn't turn on her, as they have with Falion. Down the street sits a mysterious ruin, the remains of Hrogar's house he shared with his wife and daughter. It sits burnt and silent now, snow blanketing the family's history, burying it beneath the marsh. Rest assured, we'll be taking a deeper look at the story of this place soon. Hopefully, the proximity to this tragedy didn't dull the mood of the tavern here. Luckily we have Lumberjack, the bard, within to brighten our spirits. He's a jolly fellow, tolerated by Jonna, the innkeep. But he's seemingly the only company she has, for the inn sits empty most of the time. She only moved here because her brother, Falion, did. Despite having no customers, the place is well stocked. Countless ales waiting for parched lips under the counter. Cheeses and breads and all the usual homely desires of a traveller in Skyrim. Poor Jonna, counting the days away in this dreary town. But her inn would be a beacon for those few who have braved the marsh. And despite her glum nature, she's happy to lend a hand. Now, as for why someone has placed a Dark Brotherhood contract on Lumberjack, who knows? Allegedly so terrible at playing, that someone would pay to silence him. Jonna may indeed be Skyrim's strongest soldier. Thonnir's house is across the way. The Lumberjack inhabits this place with his young son, Vikmund, after his wife seemingly abandoned them. Inside is a sad sight. Their table laid with simple food, bread and eggs to get them through the day. Their pantry is just filled with potatoes and leeks. Some cheese, at least. Though it does look like Thonnir has gone out of his way to get Vikmund a sweet roll. A caring man, it looks like he's allowing his son to explore some interests. With all these instruments around, it might be that Vikmund fancies himself a future bard. Perhaps inspired to bring some better music to Morthal than the stuff Lumberjack is offering. Though they seem to be roughing it through a hard patch financially, and with the disappearance of Thonnir's partner, the two do seem to share a strong bond. Together against the harsh world that has been so unfair, Thonnir seeks to leave this place, and I can't fault him. Perhaps they could save up and relocate to Solitude, where Vikmund might be able to pursue his passion of music. Thonnir works here at Morthal's lumber mill. It is owned by Jorgen, and damn if I've never met a man with more passion for lumber. He does not care a lick about anything except the mill. War, drama, politics, dragons, nothing comes close to the mill. And looking at the mill itself, it too is certainly better than Falkreath's. Perhaps not up to the likes of Riverwood or Iverstead, but it does have a nice consistent flow of water to work with, though I'd worry about it freezing, or at least large chunks of ice that might find themselves floating down the channel. Jorgen lives here with Lami, the potion seller, to whom he's wed. Not that we needed to seek that information out, because who else would have all these alchemical ingredients lying around? The two do have very diverse interests, but it seems they support each other in that sense. Jorgen not seeming to mind her experiments lying about, and Lami not minding living so close to his beloved mill. And that's the town itself. But what about the surrounds? Nearby the mill we have this ruin. An archway juts up from the marsh and seems to be surrounded by torchbugs. I wonder what drew them to this place. It does seem to have a sense of reverence about it. A sacred place, long forgotten. A cairn sits upon the road out of town. Many stones making up this stack. It could be a marker, a gravesite, or related to a ritual of some kind. You can imagine some of the villagers gathered around to construct this. Or perhaps it's been built over the years, fostering that sense of community across generations. There's more that lead down to Morthal's lair, each bloodier than the last. It could represent something of a corruption of this community, unless the vampires built it themselves, fostering their own family of sorts. I love this little outcrop near the river here. You can sit in the shade of this tree, listening to the birds, the flies, and the calm water drifting by. Even in this dangerous place, peace and beauty can be found in the cradle of nature. Trees growing resilient on the water, simply surviving as the villagers do. Up on this hill, we can see how quickly the village is swallowed by the broken forest, hidden from the world in a way. Life dangerous, but simple. Thanks for watching. Morthal is a town I'm definitely guilty of overlooking, but it's got a lot to it, despite its small size. I love the surrounding marshland, and we'll definitely be exploring it further soon. As always, if there's any games, moments, or details you'd like us to take a look at, let us know in the comments. Stay tuned for more oddities, observations, and open roads, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers!